While the world debates climate change, one African nation is already rewriting its future, with a shovel and a seed. In this video, we are going to look at how Burkina Faso is transforming its harsh, degraded landscape into a blooming oasis, one tree at a time. Led by Captain Ibrahim Traore, this 20 million tree campaign is not just about restoring the environment. It's about economic freedom, youth empowerment, land ownership, and peace. You'll discover how this movement is reversing desertification, creating jobs, and uniting a country around something greater than politics: purpose. This is the untold story of Africa's boldest green revolution. Burkina Faso rarely makes headlines for inspiring news. It's often associated with struggle, political unrest, poverty, and hostile landscapes. But now a new narrative is emerging, one rooted in the soil and nurtured by people's power. In July 2023, Captain Ibrahim Traore announced a bold national campaign: plant 20 million indigenous and medicinal trees. At first glance, it may appear symbolic. But beneath the surface, it's a radical act of reclamation, reclaiming degraded land, dignity, and destiny. The selection of tree species is deliberate and deeply rooted in local heritage. Baobab, moringa, neem, and shea aren't just trees. They are living legacies. Generations have relied on their fruit, leaves, and bark for nutrition, remedies, shade, and community gatherings. These species embody self-reliance and ancestral wisdom. By weaving native trees into everyday landscapes, Burkina Faso is reclaiming cultural identity and ecological resilience. Let's consider the backdrop. More than one-third of the country, over 34%, is severely degraded. Desertification encroaches, compromising farmland and livelihoods. With traditional farming faltering and climate shocks intensifying, the situation felt increasingly desperate. Yet, instead of turning to expensive, foreign-led interventions, Traore turned outward, to a natural and accessible solution: trees. The revitalization began here, in local fields, schoolyards, and community centers. Planting a tree became planting hope. But this initiative is more than soil restoration. It's a comprehensive approach to rebuilding local economies, renewing social bonds, and amplifying traditional knowledge. By choosing trees that serve multiple purposes: food, medicine, shelter, the campaign ensures daily impact and sustainable usage. Picture a village once battling erosion and drought. Now, rows of moringa seeds dot the earth. In a few seasons, families harvest nutritious leaves and seeds to fight malnutrition. Fruit from shea and baobab refreshes, nourishes, and generates income. With neem, practitioners craft natural antiseptics and insect repellents. Every sapling holds promise for health, income, and environmental balance. What started as a presidential campaign has taken on a life of its own. It's becoming a collective movement. Communities have embraced ownership. Local leaders are mentoring tree guardians. Schools have integrated tree care into math, science, and art lessons. Universities are launching programs to catalog medicinal properties and optimize planting methods. Together, they're building science-driven frameworks that honor traditional medicine while embracing modern analysis. Imagine students walking home carrying young moringa seedlings, eager to plant them in their family gardens. Picture grandparents sharing stories under a baobab, teaching children how to treat wounds with its bark. These are the daily moments weaving environmental stewardship into cultural rebirth. Breaking it down, clear stats matter. 20 million trees planted, 34% of degraded land targeted, at least 4 culturally revered species at the center. Since mid-2023, village by village, this movement has taken root, and momentum is growing daily. And remember, the first step was simple but revolutionary. Planting trees meant reclaiming land that many called lost. But beyond trees, it meant reclaiming identity, agency, and ancestral connection. This is why the soil matters, and why trees matter even more. To fully grasp the significance of Burkina Faso's tree revolution, we have to first understand what it's pushing back against. For decades, the country's economy has depended heavily on gold and cotton, two lucrative exports often controlled by foreign corporations. While these industries generated profit on paper, the real impact on the ground was far more damaging. Communities were left depleted, forests were cleared, rivers poisoned by mining runoff, and soil exhausted by monoculture cotton farming. Wealth flowed out, while poverty took root. Captain Traore's initiative is a direct response to this legacy of exploitation. Rather than digging deeper into the earth or relying on single-crop farming, the focus is now shifting to regeneration, restoring what was lost, and empowering communities to benefit from the land sustainably. In this new model, nature is seen not as a resource to be extracted, but as a partner in development. Medicinal trees like moringa and neem are at the heart of this transformation. Their leaves, seeds, and oils are being harvested for natural remedies and organic products. In remote villages where hospitals are few and pharmacies expensive, these trees are serving as frontline healthcare. This is practical and powerful. Instead of importing medicine, communities are turning to trees that grow right outside their homes, bridging gaps in healthcare with the wisdom of their ancestors. Women's cooperatives are springing up across rural regions, processing shea nuts into butter, drying moringa for powder, and packaging neem oil for sale. These aren't charity projects. They're full-fledged businesses with real economic impact. By using what the land offers naturally, families are creating value, building resilience, and reducing dependency on volatile global markets. This isn't just ecological. It's economic and cultural self-defense. It's about rewriting the terms of engagement between people and their environment. And in many ways, it's a quiet revolution against a system that too often left Africa behind while extracting its best resources. What makes this campaign so unique and effective is that it's not merely a government directive, it's a people-powered movement. From the very beginning, the government prioritized inclusion. They didn't just order trees to be planted. They invited participation at every level of society. Communities were consulted. Local leaders took charge. Traditional herbalists and healers were brought in to identify the most useful tree species and teach others how to cultivate and care for them. Their knowledge, once sidelined, is now being documented, preserved, and scaled for future generations. In cities, tech startups are building apps to track tree growth and monitor soil health. In schools, children learn about climate change not through distant theories, but through the act of nurturing seedlings. It's a movement that's deeply local, proudly African, and surprisingly modern. This is environmental activism without foreign boots or billion-dollar grants. It's something more honest, more grounded, and ultimately more sustainable. Burkina Faso sits within the Sahel region, a semi-arid belt just south of the Sahara that stretches across Africa from Senegal to Sudan. This region is known for its extreme climate, fragile ecosystems, and growing insecurity due to hunger, poverty, and extremist violence. But what if this hardship-stricken zone could become a green corridor of opportunity? That's the dream behind Burkina Faso's ambitious agroforestry push. Agroforestry is a land use system that combines trees and crops to restore fertility, hold water in the soil, and protect food production. Instead of clearing land to farm, farmers now grow under tree cover, boosting both yield and biodiversity. Entire regions that once relied on food aid are now harvesting mangoes, baobab fruits, cashews, and native herbs. Women's groups are producing sustainable goods from tree harvests. Small-scale entrepreneurs are using forest products for eco-friendly packaging, skincare products, and natural health remedies. Even tech-savvy youth are building platforms that calculate the carbon capture potential of these reforested lands, helping communities tap into the growing global carbon credit economy. This is no longer survival agriculture. It's an ecosystem-based economy, and it's turning the Sahel into an unlikely model for green resilience in the face of climate change. Historically, land in Burkina Faso was controlled either by the state or by external investors. Locals were often excluded from decisions about how land was used, what crops were planted, or who benefited from natural resources. This created a deep disconnect between people and the places they called home. That's why land rights are a critical part of Traore's tree revolution. The campaign ensures that communities own the trees they plant. These are not state forests. They're local assets. This means people get to decide how to harvest, who gets what share, and how to preserve resources for the next generation. Even the country's military and security forces are playing a new role. Instead of simply guarding borders or engaging militants, they're tasked with protecting these new forests. Soldiers patrol plantations, deter illegal logging, and even assist with planting. The message is powerful. In Burkina Faso, national defense now includes defending trees. And justice isn't just about laws. It's about restoring balance between people, land, and opportunity. Perhaps the most moving result of this campaign is the revival of hope among young people. For years, many Burkinabe youth felt trapped, facing unemployment, insecurity, or dangerous journeys in search of opportunity. But today, they're seeing a future at home. Instead of risking their lives across the Mediterranean, young people are starting green startups, joining tree brigades, and leading sustainability clubs in schools. Influencers and artists are turning the tree campaign into a cultural movement, writing songs, making videos, and spreading awareness online. Sustainability has become cool. Purpose has replaced protest. And this generation is taking root in their land again. Not out of obligation, but because they believe in what they're building. Burkina Faso's tree campaign isn't just ecological. It's strategic. In regions torn apart by violence, poverty, and extremist recruitment, Traore's strategy offers a peaceful alternative: jobs, food, and dignity through reforestation. As degraded land becomes fertile, livelihoods return. With food security rising and economic prospects improving, the appeal of extremist groups weakens. Former fighters are being retrained as eco-guards, protecting forests instead of destabilizing communities. This model of green peacekeeping is proving remarkably effective. Crime rates have dropped in certain pilot regions where trees are being planted and protected. This is not just planting for the planet. It's planting for peace, for purpose, and for a better future. 20 million trees is just the beginning. The Traore government has already set its sights higher, planning to plant 100 million trees by 2030. And this vision is more than numbers, it includes a full ecosystem strategy. New school curriculums will focus on tree literacy. Cross-border partnerships are forming with Mali and Niger to create a green shield across the Sahel. Carbon trading markets will open for smallholder farmers. Local labs are being developed to process native plants into medicine, building a homegrown pharmaceutical industry. Burkina Faso wants to be the green heart of West Africa, and judging by the pace, it's well on its way. This isn't just Burkina Faso's story, it's a message to the continent and to the world. In an era where global leaders talk about net zero goals, climate summits, and billion-dollar climate funds, Burkina Faso is doing the work from the ground up. This campaign proves something radical. African nations can lead the fight against climate change, using their own knowledge, traditions, and communities. No billion-dollar contracts, no Western consultants, just local wisdom, strong leadership, and collective action. The media may not be paying attention, but the world should. Because what's happening in Burkina Faso isn't just about climate, it's about self-determination. It's about dignity. It's about rewriting what's possible for African nations. While some nations debate their green future, Burkina Faso is already growing it, one root at a time. Burkina Faso's tree revolution is more than an environmental win, it's a declaration of independence. It's a return to the land, to dignity, and to African-led solutions that work. In the face of desertification, conflict, and poverty, this nation chose to plant, not flee. And in doing so, It's inspiring a new generation across the continent. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it with someone who believes in Africa's potential, and subscribe for more untold stories that matter. Because sometimes, the most powerful revolutions begin not with a protest, but with a seed.